Greetings, Moonlight citizens. This is your man on the moon, the Moonlight King, here with another episode of Moonlight Kingdom Podcast, Moonlight Kingdom episode 101. And we are talking about how if one is against the concept of pay to win, then one is also anti-capitalist. And this is discussed on a TikTok live stream that I came up on where it discusses gaming topics. I think the last time they discussed women in gaming and how we need to be more feminist in our approach to gaming and so on. But in this one, it's covering how being anti-capitalist is the same thing as being anti-pay to win. We delve into that. We cover a lot of what pay to win means, what games classify as, what games include pay to win strategies in their gameplay. And, we talk about some other shit, some other things in this episode as we get into that. So, ladies, bros, and everyone else, let's get into this episode in about 3, 2, 1, boom.
You're 26? I'm doing pretty good. What on the background were you looking for more information about?
Well, in regards to the if you're against pay to win, you're anti-capitalist, and that's a good thing. And I was just wanted to wonder, you cover all pay to win games. I mean, when you define, before I state my side, I want to say, when you define pay to win, what exactly do you focus in on? Can you give examples of pay to win
these
games?
these are mechanics within majority live service games that have some sort of ability to be monetized throughout the experience of playing them, where you can exchange currency for material benefit within the game, where you can get some sort of buff, benefit, items, resources throughout the experience of playing the game by exchanging currency for that benefit.
Okay, so your Star Wars.
So that's what I would normally identify.
Okay.
I have a tendency to not think that personal expression, that buying expressive skins, emotes, all that kind of thing, that's normally you aren't getting a material benefit from those experiences that you're purchasing. That's normally just a way to express yourself in game while playing. So I don't identify those as pay to win. That would be just a different monetization within a larger structure of games as a live service.
So, in terms of the pay to win side of things, you would mean games that would, if you don't spend real world money on this thing, you would have to grind for several hours to get in terms of progression. Those kind of
normally, yeah. There's also games that just fully lock you out of access to these items unless you pay for them. Right? There are games that have battle pass gear that you cannot obtain once the battle pass passes.
Yeah,
which would be another form of pay to win, which is awful.
Yeah,
but
it plays on the FOMO.
When I'm breaking this down. Yeah, it plays on FOMO, 100%. And it also plays on just getting people to put money down for the next benefit so that they can stay competitive easily. It feeds off of a ton of baseline things, and I think it is inherently manipulative. But I also a focus of that I have when having this conversation, how I get you to see the anti-capitalist side of this, is identifying the ways we identify that pay to win is unfair, that a portion of this discomfort and this frustration with pay to win is that it is innately unfair to people who want to engage in the system honestly, or just with a grind or with a focus on playing. And because of that unfairness is what I build off of for then to identify the same structures within society, within capitalist society, and ask, why is that fair within our society when it's not fair within a smaller system?
Right. Although some in certain games, let's say Marvel Rivals, which does have these season passes and such, that you spend real world money to buy credits for and to obtain skins and the different character models and emotes and whatever. There would be those who could make the argument of, well, Marvel Rivals is free. It's a free to play game, so would that offset?
That's not pay to win. That's not inherently like that. That's kind of beyond what I'm talking about here, right?
Right. So
The focus that I'm having is that like we can start on it. Like I can start pointing out the mechanics that I think would be these things that you would identify as unfair.
Yeah.
But when we're talking about this is no. I do specify pay to win requires material benefit. It can't even be like an accidental benefit. You have to be marketing and presenting this as you are getting a thing to benefit you. That is a pay to win feature. Thus,
Right.
I do stray away from things like Marvel Rivals because it's like there isn't a marketable benefit of skins. Some people can be like, oh, flashy skins dilute hitboxes and whatever. That's not a real effect that is measurable. That's like a feeling and an upset that I don't think is very genuine in most situations.
Yeah. A more closely related example in regards to how you would define pay to win in a sense would be something along the lines of the shark cards in like the GTA Online, which lets you have access to vast amounts of that in-game money that you'd otherwise have to spend hours upon hours grinding to earn, and as such you can then use that in-game money to like you buy access to like better stuff and better vehicles and whatnot.
100%.
And you know, in that line of
That's
things,
that seems like it's
Yeah.
one of the points I even make. Like you would identify that as unfair to the rest of the players, correct? The ability to simply have enough money to put into a system that then generates you more money, right? And then in that system, because you put in currency from outside that system, it generated you money inside the system, and now you're unbalanced compared to everyone else, right?
right, in the way that you could look at a guy with a rating of like, because in the game there's this like level rating that everyone has, like ranks and everything. Like your rank, say your rank was like 134, and you've been playing this game for years and you've gotten proficient at it, and you find yourself getting absolutely decimated by somebody whose rank is 35, but oh, they have way better equipment, way better cars, and way better everything. Right away, that kind of gives it away of, oh, this has been bought.
Yes. And that is unfair, right?
Yeah.
That a portion of this understanding is that this is unfair. Then why are we comfortable with things like equity trading, where people are able to put in money and put it, as long as you have a certain amount of capital to bet against all businesses within the system, it guarantees you an outcome to pay you more money when those companies fail, or when one of those companies succeeds and its competitors fail. You are essentially gambling on everybody, on just existence, on one company winning out in the end. And because you are gambling, you are putting money in the system at a certain quantity, it always guarantees you a higher payout than you put in. You are essentially using money to make more money.
First rule of business, you gotta spend money to make money. But in regards to like,
You got to spend money
Yeah.
to make money, but this isn't running a business. Like they're not putting money into a business to make money. They are betting against everyone's success, and then when destined that one company within a certain area wins out against other companies, it generates money off of the gamble. This isn't investors. They're not investing in these businesses. They're often just they're shorting these businesses. They're putting money down against their failure
didn't they try to do
because
that
you
with,
get a wider payout. You do that against everybody within a space, and then once one of them wins, you get a payout for every single business that failed.
didn't they try that with GameStop, like during the the
Yeah,
early
and-
2020s?
100%, yes. And when people pushed back against that, when the common person was just like, no, we're not going to let GameStop fail, they were like, oh shit, this really fucks with our money printing machine, and got real upset about it, and pulled a lot of shady levers in order to try and keep their power.
Yeah, that is. You can
Oh,
see
sure,
why they
Aziz,
would.
let me...
Yeah. Though with any,
You can see how,
yeah,
like, that is just putting... It is similar to just buying currency.
yeah. So the inherent
Give me
nature.
1 second, Moon.
Okay.
Everybody, this is Aziz. They are currently in Syria. If you have any extra coins, they are able to pull those coins out and get money into their country, which is currently experiencing armed conflict at the moment. They are trying to take care of not only themselves but their family and community.
In a way, I mean, the concept of like buying gifts and, not buying gifts. What's this? You're using real world money to buy in-game stuff to then progress yourself forward. You say it is like one is against such actions. It's inherently anti-capitalist, but you see like a lot of businesses, in particular, a lot of gaming studios do lean more towards live service or have leaned more towards the live service product in the last couple years. I mean, look at like Concord or the
Sure.
more recent.
I don't disagree that I don't disagree that like we exist under a capitalist system, right? Like there is no way the art will happen in outside of the system. We will not get video games outside capitalism. That's just going to be a fact of life. That we're always going to, until the system's changed, we will always see art produced underneath it. That does not free it from my ability to identify unfairness in it. That does not remove it from the fact that I care about gaming and I care about this form of artistic expression, even though it functions underneath capitalism. So, like, we can still identify that it's like, no, there's something wrong here, and this paints the picture of it. It's not that I think there's something inherently wrong with games as a live service. I am just identifying the things that make the gamers uncomfortable is inherently the same discomfort that I think a lot of people who are anti-capitalist experience with capitalism. That this system is unfair, that it's inherently ruining the experience for other people, that it is always an uphill battle, because no matter how much you engage in the system, you are always going to be behind somebody who simply had more resources to start than you. And because of that, I think that should be a way to paint this this consciousness into people's heads. That it's not just, oh, I'm stuck in this position because I don't have resources, or I'm stuck in this position because I didn't grind enough. People started with these resources. People are not just like doing it better. They've always had access to this, and this makes them able to generate more money. This makes them able to push to push off labor and not have to do their own life labor. This allows them to not be punished for things like their crimes, to not be separated from society during situations where they have committed a crime. And this is consistently unfair. These are all unfair situations that we can identify in games, that we can see when we're playing video games and be like, oh yeah, that's not cool that happened. It makes this game less fun. This makes this game less fair. This makes this less okay. And because we can identify that, I'm like, no, but see that in reality. Open your eyes. It's not just within the system. It's not just within this situation, but it is inherent to what is going on in this world. You get what I'm saying, Moon?
Yeah, I do hear what you're saying, and believe me, I do understand it. You can, to see the side of that way in how it is very unfair to the consumer. Although on the other side of the equation, you can see why businesses and studios would lean in that direction. The idea of,
Sure.
Generating money over a long period, whereas before they would only generate money over like the sales of the game. It's like once the game has been bought and sold, that's it.
I have no problem with games as a live service existing. You know that, right? You understand that? That
Yeah.
like I in fact think a lot of games benefit from that model.
Yeah, I hear
I'm
that.
just identifying that some people identify unfairness in pay-to-win functions, the ones where you get material benefit. And that unfairness is the same unfairness. It's just like with like cash bail, where it's like, oh, I have a cooldown timer. There's a 24-hour timer that within this game that I have to wait before I can go back into this dungeon. But somebody can pay 50 gems and get back into the dungeon. And I have to sit here, I have to wait in my timeout corner until my 24-hour timer is up, and they just get to go back in because they had gems. That's literally just cash bail. Somebody with money gets to step out and not be punished for a crime. Not to sit and wait for processing to happen, and sit and wait for a judge to make a decision. People get pulled out of society for this, but if you have the cash to just step out of the prison, you get to just go back to your system. You just get to go back to your job, your wife, your family, your ways of making money, your access to things like cell phones and lawyers. You get more benefit because you simply had the money to spend. And that's inherently unfair. That's inherently not okay. And that is inherently a system of capitalism. And it's mirrored in video games.
Okay. Taking it to a real world example, or, let me know if it's a false equivalence or not. But how do you feel about, say, the Disneyland Express Pass, in that if you pay X amount of money, then you get this X amount of more money than the usual park goer, you get this little bitty card that you can flash, and you get to cut right to the front of the line instead of waiting in what would normally be an hour-long wait.
I certainly miss the old system that was just walk up to a kiosk and grab a ticket and come back at a different time, and then you get to go through the faster line. I do think that they are taking advantage of people because they had a system that didn't require you to pay into it before. And they have decided to monetize that system so that because it's like this thing, they're like, oh, well, it makes us unique, let's monetize it. And I do think that is inherently going to depict greed. And I don't think greed is inherently good. So I am critical of the way the system works now.
If I can also chime in on this one in particular, the FastPass system is inherently broken. And when Disney realized how broken it was, instead of doing anything to fix it, to fix the unfairness of that system, doing anything to fix the jankiness of that, of the entire procedure, they decided to feed that metaphorical beast. And instead of it enhancing the experience for the person, for the customer who is buying this service, they amplified the amount of money that they could extract from it. And it's the difference. We as gamers are the consumer, so we shouldn't be sitting there. We shouldn't be sitting here saying, "Oh, this is great for the business." We should be sitting here saying, "We bought a service. We should be provided with this service." If I'm paying money for a game, I should be able to play that game and not have any detractments from my ability to play that game just because I'm poor. Just because, even though I paid the money to pay the game or enter the Disney World, I shouldn't have detractments from it just because there are other people who are willing to pay more money. You know, I'm not going to Disneyland so that I can have, some Mickey Mouse hat on my head while I'm going there. I don't care about the Mickey Mouse hat. If somebody wants to pay $150, $200 for a bunch of different costumes they can wear while they're running around Disneyland, so be it. That doesn't affect me whatsoever. But what does affect me is, one, when these people not only are able to skip the lines, which means this spot on the roller coaster is now taken up and I need to wait, instead of it being a 20-minute, 30-minute wait, it ends up turning into a 3-hour-long wait. And the same with games. Instead of me being able to, play a game against people who, it's my skill against their skill. It turns into me having to pay for every bullet after the 200th bullet is fired. It detracts from the experience of which I've paid for, to the detriment of me and anyone else who may not have the opportunities that these people who have all this money have access to, simply because they have money.
For sure. I also think this is a great example of the angle in which you approach it. I think a good example in video games about this is like a famous story, is in World of Warcraft. In World of Warcraft, they wanted to provide a debuff if you did not stay inside of an inn. If you didn't sleep in an inn, you made 50% less XP during the day. And you had this debuff on you. I'm pointing this out for the lines that it's not a faster line for the rich. This is just rebranding a slower line for the poor.
Did they introduce a paid thing for that?
No. This for WoW, it's just it was incredibly unpopular that you had the debuff, so instead they turned it into a buff. That when you stayed in an inn, you gained the double experience. So they just made it so you normally gained the half experience.
I've never heard about the debuff.
You didn't hear about the debuff in the beta?
Oh, maybe in the beta.
In the beta, the well-rested buff was just a exhausted debuff. That if you didn't sleep in an inn, you had an exhausted debuff, got half experience.
That's bullshit.
Lol.
And then when you would rest in an inn, you would lose the debuff. And I was like, okay. And everybody hated it. Everybody's like, do not put this debuff on me. Do not take half my experience. So they dropped the experience gained of everything else, and then made it so that you got double experience when you were resting in an inn. And thus you got a well-rested buff. But everything else just gave you decreased XP anyway. And they just re-angled it. They took what was a debuff and were like, we're going to turn it into a buff. But we're going to make it so everything experiences the debuff. So unless you're playing with the buff, you have a inherent debuff to how we originally viewed the game. And this is similar in the repositioning of the lines. It's not that you pay for the premium line. It's that you're denied access to the premium line if you don't have enough money.
It's incredibly fun.
There's something to be said about adding too much in terms of realism to video games, because, like you said, having that tired and not tired debuff of, if you don't get enough rest, then you get tired and your XP or whatever takes a hit. But, there's a line, games can't afford to be too realistic that they mirror reality, one-to-one. Personally, in my opinion, because
they didn't remove that feature, though. That's the thing. They just made that feature default, and then made it so instead of you had to get rid of a debuff, you got a buff that fixed it. The point of it is that they had essentially applied the debuff to everybody without telling them, and then made it so that the rested amount fixed the amount of XP. So you got normal XP from their original balancing, only if you were rested.
Yeah. In regards to
that. So they didn't take away that effect. They just rebranded it.
It just seems like that might be, a thing that, I don't know, makes a video game less fun, Levels of realism can make a game a lot more enjoyable and memorable, to say the least. I mean, look at the success of a game like RDR2, but there are limits to how realistic a game can get. Like with, let's say, Mafia 2, and giving you, I don't know, basically it introduced the feature of having to buy gas. With a game like Mafia, you know,
Brandon points out it depends on how you feel about simulation games. There are
yeah.
plenty of games that take that to a level where it's like, no, the intent is to engage with something as realistically as possible.
It's like survival mode in Skyrim is crazy successful.
Yeah.
So many people enjoy that mode, and also like even in World of Warcraft, there are a lot of private servers which the entire gimmick was that they're a survival server where you need to eat and drink. You have more bars than just your health and your mana. You have your thirst and your hunger. You have exhaustion if you run too much and you need to like turn on the walk feature. And these things were free to play as well. They weren't like, they were run largely by donations. And they were so successful that a lot of the things World of Warcraft ended up adding the ability for their players to play in the retail version of World of Warcraft. And some people will put that restraint on themselves. It's kind of like, yeah, there's too much. Yeah, you personally feel that there can be too much realism in a game. And there are plenty of features which many people will say detract from the experience, the enjoyability of a game if it's too realistic. But on the other hand, there's having these things. If a developer envisions a game where the challenge is in that realism, is in like watching your fuel levels, watching your hunger and everything, that's just more challenge, you know?
Yeah, I do get it, and there are games out there where how hard the game is part of the enjoyment, whether it be I'm blanking names, like there's the like Near Automata or something like that with like the two robots. Yeah, those are those type of video games where the challenge is or a part of what people enjoy them and why you have different difficulty levels in gaming. That's good. That's all well and good, but it doesn't lean too positive if it were more like a third person open world game that Joe Citizen can just pick is supposed to be able to just pick up and play whenever they feel like it. But yeah.
Elden Ring stands in stark competition to literally what you just described. I think gamers really do like a difficult thing. Like, difficulty is a portion of the enjoyment. It's what makes the victory sweeter.
Are you gonna?
So,
are you
like,
gonna?
no.
And it's also the difference
Go ahead,
between
Jack.
like, oh yeah,
Sorry.
Jack, you were first.
Oh, I was just gonna say, are you gonna include all the Souls games?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I normally point towards Elden Ring as, like, because Elden Ring is the most critically successful. And specifically in this situation, it being critically successful, a worldwide hit, Game of the Year, is so good the DLC got nominated by itself for Game of the Year. Like,
You know, I'm not gonna fight
the
today.
entirety of that expression is just that, no, the people do like games that are punishingly hard.
And it's kind of the difference between casual gamers and like casual games, not in the derogatory sense, but in the sense of like,
Non-professional.
yeah, well, like people who like want to be able to play a game and concentrate on something at the same time. Like,
Yeah.
the beginning, like I'm playing games as we. I usually play games like as we have these discussions. And I've learned what sort of like play styles I can use when playing World of Warcraft to be a casual experience that's easy for me to think about other things and play and like engage in a discussion with someone versus like a play style that is way more intense and like I need to concentrate a lot more on what I'm doing. Like if I'm having a conversation with someone while I'm playing World of Warcraft, I'm going to be playing on my Warlock because I can shoot a bunch of things and just not really worry about what I'm doing. I can sit back, relax, versus like I'm not going to play a Paladin because there are so many different buttons that I need to be clicking all the time in order to just survive in that play style.
Owl, you got it wrong twice.
Pardon?
You got it wrong twice.
What do you mean?
Druid.
Druid is ridiculous, man.
Druid. Gotta go with the Druid.
Druid is ridiculously hard. I tried to duo druids with my partner, and
Okay, what kind of Druid though?
they were a bear, I was a tree. And we ended up switching to a paladin.
Tree druid is, I think, like one of the harder ones, honestly.
That sounds like you went restoration.
Yeah. Well, I was playing as a cat weaver, so I chose specifically the hardest way to play. Whereas
you gotta play feral druid.
No, I was
Why
playing.
not just play a rogue at that point?
Well,
No, I was playing.
Cat. Do I need to say anything?
I was a cat weaver. I put up all of my hots, and then I turn into a cat, and I'm behind the enemy.
Yes.
But my partner was. We were trying to
Fucking snow.
We were trying to teach them how to tank properly. So we switched to a priest and a paladin, and like now we actually have no struggle. Now it's ridiculously easy. But that's the difference between like casual play. Yeah, I love playing as a cat. Don't get me wrong. But that's the difference between like casual play and hardcore play. Playing as two druids is like actually a challenge to get through a lot of parts of the game, unless you're like only focusing on low-level enemies. Whereas playing as a paladin with a pocket priest, it is the easiest gameplay you can possibly do. Especially if the paladin is in the tank spec, and the priest is in like discipline, which is more of a passive healing role, versus shit. I may have made a mistake. Versus a hardcore thing of two druids. Because one, you can like just like if you can play it while you're texting, or you can play it while you're doing something else, then it's casual. But if you need to have like constant full attention on the thing, then it's not as casual.
Well, I would personally, this is just my opinion on the matter. The concept of a casual gamer, in just my view, would be the guy who doesn't, like a person who's not buying the latest Call of Duty when it drops, or, oh, snap, like, who doesn't have the time or the money to be working on like a brand new game every few months, and it's a case of I'm going to buy this game and I'm going to stick with it as long as I can or whatever, because I don't have the hours that I used to be able to dedicate to gaming as much as I used to, like casual in that sense. But I do get what you're saying of having a video game that's simple enough that I can have it, that I can be playing it while also multitasking to do something else. Kind of like, I don't know, make the video game a Netflix type deal with those movies that are designed to be second screen viewing. You get what I'm saying there?
Yeah. And I think that's the difference between like the difference between like what we're saying is like you're thinking of video games that are designed to be casually played, and games that are designed to be difficult, where there's like it's kind of like there's a spectrum towards these things where some games played in certain ways are gonna be a lot more difficult for a lot more people to be able to be played. Sorry, I got my ass handed to me. But,
yeah, and like the focus that I normally go with for like what casual gaming is, and I think this might be maybe a little more threading the needle between both of you, that it's like it is just an expression of how you wish to view your time within the community. That like I think identifying as a gamer inherently kind of moves you out of the casual space, because it's like no longer just something you do occasionally. It's not something you do for fun or at parties. It is something you seek out doing on your own. I think that's normally where I draw the line, that it's like, how often do you seek out playing a game? And like I see what you're saying, Owl, where it's like, oh well, it's more casual when I can focus on other things while it happens. But I'm like, I still think that like that comes down to you as a player. Like I can could probably have a full blown conversation while playing Elden Ring. Like that's just where I'm at this point in my life. But
yeah.
like,
so,
but like I don't think I would never tell somebody about like, oh, it's just a casual game of Elden Ring, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying. It was kind of said in the comments section as well. Like, it depends on the sort of game and how you play that sort of game. Like, there are plenty of people who will call something like Animal Crossing or The Sims or Minecraft casual games.
How dare you bring up that?
Stardew Valley.
Yeah, Stardew Valley as casual games, when in reality you are putting in so much time, so much dedication, and like having to learn a lot of complex systems in order to be able to play that game to its full extent. But to the layperson who's looking from the outside, looking into these things, they look like very simplistic games with very simplistic gameplay that anyone can pick up. And I went into, I think it was Stardew Valley, with this expectation of it.
Stardew casual in front of my ancient fruit monopoly. Sorry, I had to enjoy Sig's joke there.
Yeah, but it's that kind of like I tried to play Stardew Valley thinking it was going to be a nice, easy, casual game for me to just chill and have fun without having to care. But in reality, that is so far removed from what that game is. It's anything but casual. Or EVE Online, even. Where I thought I could just sit and chill and mine my resources, but no, nothing can ever be simple, can it? Especially since, like, I'm not gonna get into the, like, billions of in-game dollars that has been lost to the people playing that game, but even, like, the more casual game players in spaces like that are no longer been casual. I meant more stuff like Angry Birds or like
Mobile games.
Solitaire. I mean, Dark Souls is a modern game.
Mobile game, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah. That.
Okay. I think we have gone on a full trip with this conversation. How are you feeling, Moon? Do you feel like we've had a good conversation here?
Yeah, we've had a very storied conversation, to say the least, and I do hear the talking points on the on pay to win in general, and on like the very capitalistic nature behind it all. To like, because the studios would like behind this, the studios who do lean more towards live service models and hero based games, whether they be Concord or Fortnite or whoever. The idea of producing a gaming title that will make you money, like even potentially in the scope of like a GTA Online years after the fact, is something from that perspective that would be too enticing to pass up. But given the fact that not all of them make it, whether they're looking at Concord, not all of them make it because the market for those kind of games is so oversaturated. It's inherently a bad thing because we're watching hundreds of millions of dollars being spent on games that have, given the saturation of the market, a very short shelf life. Because within the High Guard, that was the one I was thinking about. High Guard. That game came out this year and has like less than 10,000 people playing it already. It's like it doesn't exist. So that's potentially millions upon millions of dollars down the drain that could have been spent on something more worthwhile. And at the end of the day, the people suffering from it aren't those big studios who put it out there. It's the consumer, because in terms of the things that we have access to and the kind of games we get to get excited for and enjoy, it's getting more and more limited because everyone's trying to chase that Team Fortress bag of like, hey, we just produce one game and we milk it for years.
I would disagree with it myself. It was not that was the reason why, like, High Guard was not the consumer. The only consumers that lost it are the consumers that actually cared about it. The people the High Guard had such a bad negative rep before it even had a chance to really even like show off what it could do. And so like that is something that we like as people who play video games, who are gamers, need to start backing off on, because like the High Guard had like started to fail before it even had a chance to even show what it could do. Yeah. And that was going all the way back to the Video Game Awards.
Yeah, that's the difference between like who makes the game and who pays for the game. Like, companies don't make games; developers make games. The a company's job is not to make a game, is not to provide a service. A company's job is to make money. It's the developers who make these games, which, if they're given the proper resources, a dedicated developer can make absolutely amazing games, as opposed to a company who has all these resources, has all this access to developers. Their only objective is to make money, majority of the time. So they end up squeezing out the developers of games if they see that it isn't profitable. So you have, if these games get crushed before they are even able to make any form of success, the company's going to be like, oh, we can downsize, or we can abandon this project, you know?
And
Yeah.
that's one of the thing though too is like when you look at like the fact that like when we bring up a game like Highguard, one of the biggest reasons for Highguard is when it dropped during the Video Game Awards as the last thing, right? It's the last one, so immediately that was the first thing that people went for.
That's normally saved for the
Highguard's-
big spots, the big
Well,
announcements.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But it was Jeff Keighley who liked the game, and so he switched it over to there. I guarantee you, it probably would have been Divinity, would have been the final one. So Highguard got into that, and then on top of that, they were made by people who were from developers who were from Respawn, right? They were from Respawn, they left there. Respawn makes Titanfall. So a lot of people were like, well, this isn't Titanfall 3. Well, no, of course it's not. And Highguard and I forgot the company who makes them, can't make Titanfall 3 because they don't have that game. It's not theirs. It's Respawn's and EA's. So they can't make that game. And then after that, so then they got dogged on for that. And then when before the game even came out, there wasn't a whole much about it. Then they did a whole deep dive into it, which the game actually is solid. If people have actually go and play this game, the game actually isn't bad. It did have some very issues on launch, I will say that. But it was actually pretty all right when it came out. Now there are issues that Highguard had, and I will fully agree with people on there when the game goes from how the game played. But they started bringing in rank matches. They started bringing in 5v5. They started bringing in stuff. But it already had such a negative, bad rep, and that it really didn't get a chance to succeed when it should have had a chance to at least show what it can do, right? So, and the reason why I'm saying this is because we're already seeing this in another game coming up right now, which is Marathon. We are already seeing this with Marathon. And that's the part that's really unfortunate too, because Marathon is another game that we already being just slapped on as just Destiny clone, which that is dumb. You don't even get a chance for this to see. This is one of the biggest issues that video game players have. They will say that they know, we don't want this, we don't want whatever. They'll talk about it, rip it all the time, but a lot of times it turns back around to, I don't want these games. But then it's like, okay, so when we try to give something different and something a little bit unique, that's fine. We don't like it, and not all games are going to succeed. So what do you want? And they'll go right back to the same fucking titles. It's crazy. Like, I'm not gonna lie, gamers are some of the most dumbfounding people to ever fucking exist. And like, I know I'm kind of like ranting a little right now. Sorry, Kaz.
No, you're good.
But like,
It's not like Taylor in the comments is actually
no. Taylor's just fucking dumb. Like, I'm just gonna like whatever.
He's
Like,
just Ryan.
it ashames me that I gotta have the same fucking name as this fucking crayon muncher. But like, it's the fact to me that like gamers struggle so hard to say what they actually want, and they'll go right back to like old games or like an existing franchise. They will shit on fucking any AAA title that comes out and dares to do something different. And like, I want them to. Marathon has the chance. I'm bringing up Marathon right now because Marathon has the chance to succeed right now. Like, Marathon has a huge chance to succeed. It's an old, I mean, people forget Marathon's an old title. Like, Marathon's a very old franchise. And so I'm like, dude, this is going to be good. Like, I have a good feeling about it. But we're already seeing people be like, nah, this is fucking trash. I'm not even going to waste my time with it. Like, the gamers deserve the failure that they get when it comes to video games because they don't actually want anything different. Like, slap it on the lower channel. Like, they do. They do. It's almost like they deserve the failure that they get. And it bothers me because there's so many developers out there, not just in indie spaces, but in AAA spaces as well, who would love to do new stuff, but they can't, and they struggle to because they constantly have to deal with the fact of the gamers themselves. And I know there's issues of course, earlier, just due to the fact of like, developers and people want to make money. The game companies have been wanting to make money since gaming has started. Like that's nothing new. If gamers or if game companies could do what they could do now, they already would have done it. Like we'd be having subscription services way earlier. I mean, fuck, they tried. It was called GameFly. But like, I want people to understand that like we as a community of gamers have a responsibility as well to be able to go and be like, hey, dude, like shut the fuck up. Base the game on the game. I think the Mindful Gamer just did a video on it where if you took away like the mostly negative, if you took away the people who played it for about an hour or less, that mostly negative jumps up to about mixed reviews, which is about where it should be. So it shows that majority of the people were just not even bothering. They would play it for like 20, 30 minutes. That's the actual time to invest into the actual like the training part is roughly 15 to 20 minutes. So you got maybe one game in, said it was trash, and then dumped it off. When just like, and if you played any kind of competitive like 3v3, and like, man, I'm not trying to harp on you in any way, so please don't take it this way. Like, if we play any kind of game, we know that we need that like to keep the play in for at least for a while. Like when someone only plays a game, and I'm sure you've heard people too. Everyone probably has at one point have played a game for like maybe like 20 minutes and like, oh, I don't like this game anymore. And you're like, how? Like
I do need to pause you for a real quick second, Afro, because there was a claim made in the chat. I am not inclusive to people like you, Taylor. I'm actually quite hostile to little fuckboys like you who think they can come in here and just be all edgy and cry in my comments. No. To be inclusive, I have to be violent towards people who would harm my brothers and sisters. That includes my trans brothers and sisters, my queer brothers and sisters, my brothers and sisters we identify as envies. I'm going to hurt you if you lay a finger on them. So no, I'm not inclusive. I'm quite hostile to a weak little fuck like you. I'd suggest you leave before you get your feelings hurt, because I promise you everybody's been real gentle so far. But go ahead, Afro, finish.
At a tent now.
Owl.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that, Owl? That's fucked up. I don't want the image.
Oh no, the rested
No, I don't want to hear anymore. I don't want to
I'm just not going to add the fact that I happened to be holding two knives while I said all that.
Oh my.
Wow, Homa, you got two wives? You'd think you'd be happy. Now you're thinking about two wives. Yeah, this is
two knives.
What?
This is pretty great.
Guys, it is snowing so much outside. Because I'm not going to hear anything more about these knives and tents and stuff. It's just snow outside.
They're just knives. I don't know what the problem is.
Oh,
yeah,
get the smile out of your voice first before you try to convince me.
Like that one Black Veil Bride song. Shit. I had a parody. Fuck. Never mind.
Okay.
Man on the Moon, we do have other guests wanting to come up.
By all
Mind if I
means.
let you down?
Yeah, you can drop me.
Okay.
I've heard I need to hear. Thanks for allowing me to come up and, speak my side of this. So it was very informative conversation. See you around.
Thank you for joining us.
Like I said, I apologize for the bit of the crash out. It's just like a gaming content creator, we see this like a lot. So I'm not trying to throw shade at you or anything like that. So I apologize if you think I did.
Nah, I hear worse shit in online gaming. It's cool.
Something.
You know what you never hear in online gaming? I'm sorry.
It's true.
Nah, what I never
did you
hear
wanna
is
end
you did a
on?
good job. That's some shit you never hear in online gaming.
No.
That's why I like
No one
private
ever
servers.
no one in video games is ever like, I'm proud of you, son.
It's why
because
we're
half
there to
of
begin
half the
with.
dudes in there would just start crying partly through.
I resent that statement. I play this game so much, and I spend so much time in World of Warcraft screaming about how like a tank has no idea what they're doing, and then I go and I start tanking, and I have like the entire team being like, "Wow, you're really good at tanking." I'm like, "Thanks, guys. I love you guys."
Meanwhile, crying, just overstimulated with all the pride being sent my way.
yeah. Why couldn't my daddy be like this?
Why couldn't... I mean, that is a question that I have. Never mind.
Goodbye.
This is not a dream.